Gaye DeRusso with Majestic Rider here with another podcast for you. I do these in my car. I will get a microphone soon to do this in here, but that's why you might hear the background some. But this is when I have time to do podcast. So today I want you to try and understand the horse more. And to understand the horse and the things they do, you really must understand the difference between prey and predators. Many people treat their horses like they're dogs, but dogs are predators. Horses are more like deer. They know they can be eaten at any moment, and they have two ways to get away from what they're afraid of. So one is flight, and that's usually what they will try first, as long as they are capable of running. You know, if they have an injury and they can't run, then they might try to fight more. But so they usually try their flight mode first, and if they can't go to flight, then they will go to fight. Once you understand those concepts, it makes it much easier to work with the horse. And when you get in different situations and they are acting up, it will help you to understand why the horse took off, why it bolted, why it reared up, and why it bucked you off or began to crow hop, etc. If you really understand what they are, it will help you to solve many problems. So let's begin. So when you're riding your horse and you understand that it's a prey animal, you will understand that it is constantly looking for danger. That horse, depending on its instincts, which may be very high or on the lower side if it's a duller horse, still will go to its instincts if it doesn't have a good leader to follow. So when do prey animals go into flight mode? Prey animals are always on the alert for danger because they know it is much easier for them to run versus fight and possibly not survive if something is attacking them. So you will see their ears usually constantly moving if they are unsure of something. They will also raise their head higher, and they might put their head up and down in order to try and locate where the danger is. Is it coming from the front? Is it coming from the side? Or is it coming from the back? Once you understand this, you'll understand that when a horse raises its head and its ears go forward, there is something ahead of it that it is unsure of. And it is telling you that as it becomes unsure, it is going into flight mode. That is your time, especially if you know what is up ahead, to start to focus the horse's mind on something else and let them know that it is okay. You want the horse to look to your cues and to your guidance so it does not go into flight mode, which can be very dangerous for the rider. So again, as the horse lifts its head up, its ears go forward, the object that it is afraid of is in front of you. If its ears are flicking all around, the horse is unsure where it's coming from. So that is also telling you something might be on the side, the front, or the back, or it could be multiple things. If the ears are going backwards, then it means something is coming up behind you, such as a bike. Now, some horses, once they are on the alert, will get much more nervous because they are unsure. They do not have experience, or it is a young horse, or it is a nervous type of horse. And that is your time to try to focus the horse and give it guidance on what it should do. But if you do not, again, the horse being a prey animal, it will go into flight mode. It gave you a signal, and then after the signal, it decided it was better to run than to find out what was coming. They want to get out of danger's way because their main objective is to be safe. So they will run until they feel safe. Okay? But the horse does give signals if you watch for them. But remember, this is a prey animal, so it will always be on a higher flight mode, versus a predator doesn't spook much. You'll see your dog spook at little goofy things, but most of the time, unless they've been abused, they are very brave. Okay, so let's go back to the horse. So, when a horse goes into flight mode, if it feels that it cannot run away fast enough, then it may buck or crow hop to get you off. Because if it gets the rider off, the horse can run faster. So remember that if you do not respond when that horse is going on alert, and then it does go into flight mode, the next thing that might happen is that the horse begins to buck to get the weight off of its back. Okay. Now, if you're riding out on the trail and your horse gets nervous or wants to run, and you try to make it stand still, or you won't let it move its feet around, the horse will respond by rearing. It is rearing because it feels very uncomfortable and you won't let it move. This happens a lot with young horses that are unsure, and people try to hold them back or to make them stand still. With something like this, it is best to keep the horse's feet moving when they are nervous. If you need to stay somewhat in place, you can be disengaging the horse's hindquarters, and then you can also be moving its front end. You could do something like rollbacks, you could do side passing, you could do a shoulder in, you can do many different movements, but what you're trying to do is let the horse move its feet so it feels more comfortable and doesn't feel confined, and this will keep you safer so the horse does not rear up. So again, if you feel the horse is getting anxious and you feel it engaging its back end and becoming lighter on the front end, you have to know that the next thing coming might be a possible rear. And the only way to prevent a rear is to read those signals and then guide your horse on what to do and try to make it more comfortable. Now, horses, when you're saddling them, or if something is pinching them, like your saddle is uncomfortable for them, they do something basic. They try to get the thing off of their back because it is making them nervous, it is giving them pain, and in some horses, it is giving them the feeling that a predator animal, which is us, again, many people eat meat, so we are predators, or at least as humans, we are predators. They want to get that predator off of its back. So if your saddle does not fit, that could make a horse crow hop, that could make a horse buck, because it might be pinching the horse and causing it pain. Now, it might not do this constantly. It might do it more like when going downhill or when you're further into the ride and it can no longer take the pain anymore. And that's why people get confused with saddle fit and say, well, the horse was fine for the first hour, so why would it be causing it pain now? Because the horse can no longer tolerate the pain, or the saddle has moved into an uncomfortable position because it's not being held in place correctly. Now, when you're saddle breaking a horse, if the horse is calm and trusting and you have built up its trust instead of fear and trying to overpower the horse many times will take the saddle like it is no problem, because you built it up in steps, you helped it feel comfortable, and so when you put the saddle on, it trusted you and understood that you would not do anything to hurt it and accepted it very willingly. Now, as you move the horse slowly, it still may be fine. And if you take your time and have patience and slowly get the horse used to this, then as you slowly add speed, not much bucking or crow hopping will happen. But when the horse does not have the confidence and does not have trust in you, or you try to overpower the horse and just put the saddle on and get up there, which you will see in many, many videos on the internet, the horses will buck. And this is why. Because again, they did not build up their trust or their confidence or do it in steps to get the horse used to it. They just overpowered it, and the horse therefore went to its instincts to try to get the object off so the horse could feel safe. It is all about safety with the prey animals. They will run, they will buck, and they will fight until they feel safe. Now, if you corner a horse and you're trying to do something with it and it is very afraid and it cannot go into flight mode, it will fight. And it will fight more if it's a stallion because of that testosterone. That's why you need to be very careful with stallions, because they are more aggressive due to all that testosterone. So if you are doing something with a horse and it cannot get away, say even saddling it, but you did not do it correctly and the horse has a lot of fear and you have it tied up, it cannot get away, it will start to fight. It will pull back on the halter. It will break what it is tied to. It will even mutilate itself trying to get away. This is normal prey animal reaction. That's why when you see a deer confined, it will try to fight and then it will leap and jump and many times injure itself trying to get away. The quicker you move, the more the animal thinks it is going to die. So that's when you need to move slowly and quietly to try to free the animal if it's caught in a fence. Say the horse is cast, it knows it cannot get away, and that's why many horses will thrash when they are stuck. But if this was an animal that you raised and it trusts you, many times when it get cast, stuck in a fence, the horse will just wait for you to help it instead of thrashing, because it knows it can trust you and it knows that you will help it. Okay? So, when you are getting a horse, this is one of the first concepts that you need to understand, because even though many horses are great and calm and very willing, it depends on how high that instinct of the horse is and how it was raised. Did the people who raise it treat it kindly, build up trust, do it in steps? Then the horse will react more calmly and look for the person for guidance. But if the horse was treated harshly and became fearful because of the way it was treated, that horse will have much higher instincts because it knows it cannot trust people. And with those horses, you will need to go back all the way to the beginning. And even though the horse's saddle broke, and even though the horse can be ridden, to get it back to a calm horse, you may have to redo all those things and show the horse that it can trust you. And it will take time and it will take patience to get there. So just remember, when you're having problems with your horse, you want to think like the horse, not like the human. Horses are prey and we are predators. And due to that, many times humans will try to overpower animals and overpower people, because that is in our nature. But in the horse's nature, it is to run. It is to free itself so it can run faster. It will leap. It will then fight if it cannot get away. So if you have a horse that is being aggressive, again, the problem is not usually the aggression. The problem is the horse is not trusting because someone has instilled fear, and it has learned that if it fights back, it can get away from what it is doing, and then it will feel safe. All right, that's it for today. Hope that helps some of you out there.